presence to be with us. And Jehovah God, all that we are going to deliberate, and especially matter as children, and also those that are disadvantaged in various ways, and also those that are missing. I want to pray that you'll open our minds, that Lord God, the things that we share will be of benefit to us and this society in general. We thank you and honor you, Lord, for we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Mariana Munyendo. I am the founder CEO of Missing Child Kenya. I will wear two hats today. I will be a moderator for this panel discussion and also a keen interest participant in what we are looking at today. And also, I'm happy to be back home, class of 2005. So grateful to see, I know people are smiling, they're thinking, was this amphitheater looking like that? No, the chairs are much better now. We had benches, yeah. So happy to be back home. Today we are here for this forum on the status of missing children and give some few highlights as to why we are here. This is part of activities that are going on towards the 25th of May, which is the International Day of Missing Children, celebrated globally. And during this day, there's normally massive worldwide social media and other forms of campaigns where people are encouraged to talk about the issues of missing children, to bring to the forelight why children are missing and the children that are missing, so that we can continue to be able to have a community-related approach in terms of unifying these children with their families. And so, as a background, I am a member of the Technical Working Group on Missing and Found Children, which is convened by our Directorate of Children's Services, among other organizations whose members are also represented and will be speaking as part of this panel. And our interest also this year was to interest academia in the need for research and factual information about missing children. And this is because when you try to look for data on missing children in the Kenyan or in the African context, there's very little data. But we have opportunity as members or participants within academia to make a shift towards creating factual information and data that is relevant to sorting the problem that we have of missing children. And so that is why when we approached Daystar University and they graciously accepted, we were more than happy to see how to create this forum and create dialogues that would not only plant a seed here, but in our different networks. As I go on, for those joining us online, there is a link and you'd be able to also fill in your comments and questions, and we'll be able to look at them and see also how to contribute or have your responses catered for. So for today, we are looking at it's a forum and it's looking at the status. And so we are trying to look at what is happening, what can happen, and what are the possibilities of what could happen even more. So as we convene here, I'd first like to thank Daystar University for being gracious enough to give us this space, and to also thank all the participants that have come through, whether online or physically, because it is also a discretionary matter in terms of your interest to contribute to catalytic change in your communities. So thank you very much. The theme for this year for the International Missing Children's Day is strengthening family and community care to prevent and respond to cases of missing and found children. I will not go into that so much. It will be delved in with the different kinds of presentations that will come forth. And so to start us off, I would like to welcome Dr. Mary Mogute, who's the head of department in development studies, so that she can give us her welcoming remarks. Please welcome with a round of applause. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to all of us again. Thank you. I wish to take this opportunity first to thank God for giving us a chance to be here this afternoon to speak about something very pertinent but which has not been given enough attention, especially in this part of the world, the missing child. Often we see and we hear, but we do not pay a lot of attention. But this forum, I believe, is going to sensitize us and make us more kind of responsive to the need of this child. It could be your brother, it could be your child, it could be your sister, it could be anybody. This child is the focus of today, and we want to speak to ourselves and to our friends out there, even the ones who are listening to us virtually, so that we can be more sensitive and responsive to what is happening around us, because many cases are being reported of missing children. So thank you for those who felt touched to come and be part of this audience. When we'll have our facilitators taking us through, I believe we'll benefit quite a lot. So I wish to take this opportunity to welcome you all. This is an event which has been planned by different players. There are people from the ministry, there are people from UPCAN, there are people from Daystar. It is a collabo of many, many players. And to all of us who have played a role to having today's event be what it is, we want to welcome you. I want to say on behalf of the School of Applied Human Sciences, karibu sana to Daystar, especially Daystar at the River campus. There are some of us who have never been here before. This is the campus you hear about. It is a beautiful place to be. You interact with nature, even with monkeys around you. Don't be scared, they're our friends. So welcome to this very warm environment of Daystar. I won't welcome you on behalf of the Daystar University because my dean will do that, but to the School of Human and Social Sciences, Applied Social Sciences, where we have 3 departments running. That is the Department of Psychology, the Department of Child Development, and the Department of Community Development, which houses social work and monitoring and evaluation. I wish to extend to all of you, visitors and Daystarians alike, a very warm and hearty welcome to Daystar. I think we can just clap to ourselves for being here this afternoon. Karibuni sana. May God bless you, and as we learn, let us learn together so that we can sharpen our tools to protect that child who is missing. I now want to welcome my dean, Dr. Kennedy Ongaro. He's the Dean of School of Applied Social Sciences, to come and give you a welcome on behalf of Daystar University. Karibu Dean. You can appreciate him better than that. Thank you, thank you.
Very good afternoon to each and every one of you present here today, and those who are listening to us virtually. It is God's command and responsibility to take care of the children. So it's not by coincidence that all this happens. Proverbs 22:6 says, I have given you the responsibility to care for your children. So it's God's command. It disturbs some of us, when you have these children around you, the whole day, just like now, it's 2 o'clock. Then it is 6 o'clock in the evening, 7. This is the time when you are sending them to the nearby kiosk to go and buy a matchbox. That is the time when the predators and all those who have got evil minds take advantage of these children. That's where the rain starts beating us. It is God's responsibility that we must obey. That the Bible says, obey and believe. Today we live in a very busy world. People are not at all interested about the children. They are interested about money. The truth be told, we have reached a point, a period where people are even selling their children. They are no longer missing. It has become a source of business. It's a trade. Shame on them. Sophie, thank you so much for that responsibility, that God is using you as a vessel, and many others who have committed their lives to trace, to find, to protect the missing children. They are not one, they are many. Why do they go missing? To sell their organs. The heart can be sold, the kidneys can be sold. And that's why you have really seen the government in full swing trying to unearth what happened in Sakahora. Those who got their lives taken away, most of them are children. You have seen in the media parents who sell their children, as little as 10,000 shillings. And therefore we must be vigilant, we must be responsible, we must be accountable. Children are dear to us, and that's why Jesus said, let the children come to me, because they are innocent. They can't differentiate. And therefore we have the minds, we have got this clarion call to ensure that these particular children are well protected by us, men and women, so that these children can be properly nurtured, they can have a place, a sanctuary, and homes are sanctuaries through which they can have a better upbringing. When all is said and done, these are the children we will hand over our duties and responsibilities when we get out of stage. In each and every industry, in each and every sector. Kazi sio kuzaa, kazi ni kulea. That's what they say. That's where the work begins. So therefore we must ensure that we can be able to be held accountable. So Dr. Orumbe, on behalf of the university, the Institute of Child Development, thank you for steering the wheel to ensure that the voices are heard. You must soldier on and protect these people. And therefore, if we cannot do it, then the question is, who will do it? Daystar is a home for that through the Institute of Child Development. Finally, why do these children go missing? Don't pass over your anger, your pain, your agony, particularly disciplining these children in the evening or in the night hours. They will disappear to the dark. Some of them, they will never come back. Some of them will never be traced. When we go to the places of worship, make sure that the children, or when we take them out on Sunday or any other day to recreational facilities, make sure that you keep an eye on them. Because those are the areas where they go missing. That's where they disappear. And that's why the government said all kiosks within the schools must be demolished. Because some of them, that's where they are dragged. And they never go home, where they buy the sweets. And forever they will never be found. They are trafficked across the border, even within to other countries for sexual issues related to businesses, and some of them to become slaves, and many other related issues. Brothers and sisters, it's our duty and responsibility to ensure that we have got a clarion call. It's got this mandate, as it has been given to us, that we must take care of these children. And when we finish this earthly journey, we will be accountable in a very positive way. And therefore, wish you all the best, the participants who are here today, physically and virtually, as we find solutions, long-lasting solutions, to take care of these particular children. Happy welcome to each and every one of us who are here today. Greetings from the Vice Chancellor, the DVCs who are very busy, trying to put up other necessary activities within the university. As we are opening the university, we are opened this week. Kindly take note of that the students have started reporting, and there are so many activities that are being attended to by the university leadership. But on my own behalf and the leadership of the university, they have extended a very welcome to each and every one of you, and therefore feel at home, and may God richly bless us as we discuss and find solutions for the issues that are affecting us as a country, a continent, and the world at large. Thank you so much.
Thank you once more, Dr. Kennedy Ongaro. Truer words could never have been said. A hashtag is a very quick form of communication or collecting information in this digital era. If we are sharing information about why we are here and what we are passionate about, why we are here, I would propose that if you're sharing on any platform, use the hashtag #MissingChildKE, hashtag #MissingChildKE. You'd be able to share on your platforms for whatever is happening, and we can be able to reach out to more people than are here today. As we proceed, I'd like to welcome our next speaker for the next session. And our speaker will be speaking more towards the International Missing Children's Day and the missing child. Please give a warm welcome to Ms. Athena Morgan from the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Karibu.
Hi everyone. How are you? So I was expecting the weather to be colder than this. So I'm clearly overdressed, but all is good. At least it's not as hot as the last time I visited here. So my name is Athena Morgan, as you've been told. I'm the regional project manager for an organization known as the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children. We deal with issues of children and adolescents. Who can tell me the difference between a child and an adolescent? Anyone? I train a lot, so I like my people talking back at me. I am not a teacher, but maybe in another life I would have been. So anyone who knows the difference between a child and an adolescent? Nah. Yes. Yes, you. Yes, you. Okay, thank you. He says an adolescent is a child who has started growing into an adult, which is actually true. The definition of a child is anyone legally, and in most jurisdictions, including Kenya, a child is anyone who's under the age of. So if you're 18, are you a child or not? Are you a child? At 18? When do you get your ID? So are you a child? Good. I guess you've learned something today, some of us. So when you turn the age of 18, you're not a child, but you're still an adolescent. And when you're 19, you're not a child, but you're still an adolescent, all right? Are we getting it? Or a young adult. 18 and 19 is not a child, it's an adolescent or a young adult. And also the definition of an adolescent, you can say it's anyone from the age of maturity, when they've started reaching puberty, from 12 years to 19 years. That's an adolescent, all right? So we deal with issues of missing children and adolescents across the globe, but I am focused here on Africa. We look at issues of sexual exploitation of children, online solicitation, and trafficking. That's a lot. Interesting area to look into, especially because the world has become digital, right? Meaning that most of the crimes now are being committed where? Online. So it is very important for us as young adults, anyone under the age of 30, and even above, even if you're an older adult, it is good for you to be aware of what is going on the digital platform so that you can safeguard yourself. You can safeguard your nieces and nephews. Even if you don't have children, you still have of your own, you still have children that you relate with, right? And you'd want to see them safe. Okay? So that's my introduction. I don't have so much time today, so all children deserve a safe childhood within a family or a family structure. You don't have to be father, mother, children, like we grew up knowing that's the setting of a family, isn't it? But you can be father and a child, or young children and young adults together. But as long as there is security and safety, that is your family, and it is our responsibility to ensure that everyone who is within that family setup is safe and comfortable. All right? So who is a missing child? Anyone? The doctor here has given us a bit of examples here and there as he was making his introductory remarks. Anyone who knows a missing child or who can say who a missing child is? Yes. You're smiling at me. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you for that. She has used a very important term, reported. And we are going to be having a discussion after this about reporting and the criteria for reporting and when you're supposed to report. But also, one of the ways you can say someone is missing is if they have been reported as missing. But in general, a missing child or a missing person is one that you cannot account for their whereabouts, yet you are supposed to know. Okay? So I was coming from Nairobi to the river today, and then my phone goes off, no one can reach me, no one can trace me until nightfall, until tomorrow morning. Can you say that I'm missing? Yes. Because Esther was supposed to know that I'm here. Esther knows that I was supposed to be here, right? But she can't account for that. My family at home knew that I was coming here, but I'm not with them and I'm not here with Esther, and no one can reach me, so I am missing for that period of time, okay? So we don't have to have reported for a child to be declared as missing. If I am walking and then I lose direction and I lose track of totally where I am, and I am not able to locate to say who I am, where I'm going, where I'm coming from, I can also be said to be missing, right? Because I am not able to account to anyone, and no one is able to account for my whereabouts. Are we getting it? Yeah, that doesn't mean that immediately it's an issue. Sometimes people just get lost for a second and then they come back. For adults, we can excuse. We adults are just complicated, right? But for children and young adults, we need to be very careful and attentive so that even if a child continuously goes missing every Wednesday and no one can account for them, you need to know what happens this Wednesdays. Are we getting it? Yeah? So your child will be there, but every Wednesday they go missing. Maybe they've joined a cult. Would you know? No, unless you follow up and be able to see what this child is doing in that period of time when they are not accounted for, all right? So other definitions of a child who's missing is a child who has been abducted by their family members. Let's say my dad lives in the States and I'm 13 years old and my mom lives in Kenya. And the law has said that since my parents separated, I am legally supposed to live in Kenya with my mother. And then my father flies in, takes me across the border and takes me to the United States. Am I missing? Yes, because legally, who is supposed to be accountable for me? My mother, who's in Kenya. So when I'm taken to the US, I am categorized as a missing person here in Kenya, all right? So family abduction is also a way of making a child, a young adolescent, or a person to go missing. Escapees and runaways, given the example that you've just been given, coming from a harsh family background and you feel that you've had enough of this and decide to run away, yeah? And you don't say where you're going or who you're going to be with or for how long. Are you missing? Is that child missing? So we see there are so many different categories of missing children, or just for declaring a person as missing, all right? So we need to pay attention, and we need to also know the circumstances that lead to this situation so that we can be able to prevent it from happening. Are we together? Who can tell me some of other reasons why people go missing or children go missing? In any of those categories we've talked about. What can make a child go missing? Yes, Dan?
We used to go missing when we were very young, I can remember.
Yes.
During the period, some of my colleagues who are seated here today, they can't remember. It was during holidays, and therefore one of the responsibilities we were given to go and pick tea and pyrethrum. So it was a very harsh kind of environment we were living in. Sometimes we used to disappear from home and go to my grandmother's place, and therefore we used to tell her not to tell my mom. So sometimes the home work environment can make you go missing.
Yes.
To known or unknown places.
Thank you very much for that. And as he said, most of you cannot relate. I shall not say whether I can relate or not. You judge that for yourselves. So, harsh labor can be one of the reasons why children go missing. Anyone who wants to give another try? With a more modern, less older reason. Yes. Yes, please explain a bit more.
Sort of in search of sanity or like a quiet place,
Yes.
the child can run away from home.
Yes, thank you very much for that. And that's a very true and a very current and something that we see very often, whereby you find that when there are issues and conflicts at home, children tend to run away to find peace of mind, to find sanity. Sometimes it is so harsh, a child cannot do homework. A child can be even become part of the conflict, you know. You could be sitting there and staring at your parents and you're asked, why are you looking at us when we are fighting? Kuja hapa hata wewe. You know? So harsh family conditions are reasons why children can go missing. So family dysfunctions, family conflict. Another reason is poverty, especially in cases of cross-border, cross-country, even cross-county. Missing children and missing persons is you can find that poverty is one of the key issues, whereby they're looking for greener pastures, yeah? So you feel that you have lived in that situation for too long and you need to try your luck elsewhere. So as a child, you may go, let me give you a common example, and this even happens to us young adults and even college-going students. Since you come from a family which is not well off and the conditions are not good, and you don't want to go back home to shags, so you decide, I will go and stay with my rich boyfriend. Does that happen? Or I will go stay with my mumama, right? And mubabas, isn't it? And you think that you're moving from a dry pasture to a green pasture, but the long-term consequences of it on you as a person are graver than if you had persevered in the situation you were in and toiled, sweat and blood yourself out of that situation, okay? So poverty is a reason why people go missing, but it should not be our reason. It should not be the reason why children go missing, and we should not encourage children to go in search for greener pastures unless it is a safe and secure way whereby you know where they're going, who they're going to be with, and what they will be doing to get out of that poverty, because some are taken into child prostitution, yeah? Or child sex tourism. They are taken to the beach where they are, to the coastal regions where they're being exploited by the tourists. Yes, they're making lots of money, but is that good or healthy for them? No, all right. So escaping poverty is one of the reasons that we should be attentive to and alert to and not let it judge us. Yes, you have a point? Yes. Yes.
Most likely because of not having a caregiver, maybe straying away from their legal guardians.
Yes.
That is one. And secondly, maybe children born in families where they have mental challenges or disabilities, then families, or let me use this word, don't take it very, very seriously, creative members of those families would want to take them and dump them away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Can you see my screen from here? No. Oh, you just read my next point. Thank you very much. I'll talk about it. Yes, please. Yes.
Where children. Thank you. The radicalization and joining of these cultic movements, where children are persuaded of a safe haven somewhere, and they are taken, and you know the rest of the story.
Yes.
And another thing which comes to my mind is when there is a civil strife in a country, in a region, and the children just run away, and they find themselves in a place they are not familiar with no one from the family, and they're all on their own.
Yes, thank you very much for those points. So, yes? I like this group.
Could you say when they're running away from FGM?
Yes, yes, thank you very much for that. So let me start with the point from the gentleman behind there. It is true, children with mental health issues, and one of the most common cases, and Mariana can also attest to this, is children with autism, whereby you find that they are more likely to either get lost or take themselves away from a situation of chaos, and in the process, they end up getting lost, yeah? Also, the other issue, as you said, okay, it is not very creative, no. We find that their families, yes, I know. You find that there are families that once they get a child, or their child develops and they realize that this child has one form of disability or another, they may opt to get rid of the child, you know? So if it is a child who's incapable of taking care of themselves, they'd go ditch them somewhere. And that child can be declared as missing because they're not in the legal custody of their parents, yeah? And if it is an older child, it can also be that when they are chased away from home or they're being exposed to unfavorable conditions, they end up taking themselves away from that situation and end up as a missing child or a missing person. There's another point. Okay, yeah, I'll come back to it.
Okay, so what I wanted to say, what can make a child to go missing? It can be depression. Like the child can feel depressed, maybe because of the family conflicts, like maybe the parents are not in good terms, so the child can feel that he or she is not wanted in that family, so it can make him or her go away. And maybe like anything that can make the child feel depressed, when the child feels depressed, then he or she can go away.
Yes, thank you very much for that. So if the child is not at a place of peaceful mental state, where they're either constantly depressed, constantly stressed, they can also run away. As Madam has said here, radicalization is one of the other reasons why children go missing. And let me tell you this, nowadays most people are being radicalized through technology. You meet someone online, maybe you've been ranting. Okay, let me give us a very good example. How is our economy in this country? We all have our personal opinions, right? So, I, Athena, go online and start ranting on my social media page about how the economy in this country is terrible, how 1,000 shillings is equal to 50 shillings. You know all those things we normally say on social media, right? And so there is this radical guys online who are trying to teach the government a lesson. By the way, this is just an example, and as I wind up, this is the last slide, the push and pull factors, you find that this person will come and be like, yes, Athena, we agree with you. You know, the economy is really bad. We need to do something about it. And so we become friends and we are here ranting, and I think I've met someone who thinks like me, but after a while, this person is like, what do you think we should go and do 1, 2, 3 things at State House that are illegal, or at a certain government building? And since I have been interacting with this person so much online to the point that I feel that, yes, we are on the same page, what do? I join arms with this person, bring other people into the group, and we start doing other illegal things or cultic things in terms of religious and what have you. The examples are endless. So keeping all this in mind, we need to know that the factors that can make a person or a child go missing all marry into each other, one way or another. If we are having a family dysfunction, you could end up depressed, you could end up with mental health issues, you could end up running away, you could be running away from poverty. Drug abuse and alcohol problems can also make you run away, or can make a child become a runaway because maybe the family does not approve of them, or the method at which they're dealing with this issue is not sitting well with the child, so they would decide to run away where they can practice these illegal things by themselves in a comfortable region, but we know in the end they're ending up damaging themselves, or they could end up getting hurt. So children who go missing, what are the risks they face? Violence, sexual exploitation, death, right? Victimization, and involvement in crime, just to give a few examples. So going missing is not something that just comes and that's the end of the story. The repercussions for it are grave, can lead to mental health issues, can lead to a child being sexually exploited, or an adult. It can lead to the death of this person, forced labor, especially in cross-border missing children and cross-border traveling all together, right? So in conclusion, families need to be confident that when their child goes missing, in the country, we are working very hard to strengthen our missing children's structure together with the government and the non-governmental organizations to make the process easier and smoother. For children, normally we see in the movies, you're told wait 48 hours if a child goes missing. Do not wait. If you cannot locate your child, or you know someone whose child cannot be located, it is very important that you report immediately, okay? And then follow up to ensure that necessary steps are being followed to recover this child. There is so much we can talk about when talking about missing children, adolescents, and missing persons, but for today, that's the end of my little discussion presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Athena. Please give her a round of applause. Thank you very much. And it seems it's a session that has so many learnings and givings from this side, which makes it a more enriching experience, because it means we are not talking to ourselves, we are talking to each other, which is good for the continued dialogue. So how many of you have seen an online survey that was running? Go to sabasi.com. You will find an online survey on the status of missing children. How many of us have filled it in? Yes, good, good, good. And some of the questions that are being asked here are some of the questions that are in the survey. And this was in discussion with the different faculty heads to see how can we be able to also collect some basic information on what people understand as the status of missing children, and knowledge and information about that. So if you haven't done so, I've given you 2 things so far. Every time I stand, I give you a task. I gave you a hashtag. Now I have given you a survey to complete. So please go to sabasi.com, and when you look at Sabasi, you will find there are different surveys, but that one specifically speaks to the status of missing children. Now for the next part of our forum, we're going to have a panel discussion. So I'd like some assistance in having some chairs up at the podium. And for this, still, again, we're just going to have enriched conversations and dialogue about what people have in terms of expertise, experience, knowledge, so that we can be able to just learn from each other. I like such engagements because you leave a better person than you are. Starting from when Dr. Mogute said something about us being in a learning environment, it is key that we are still absorbing. Dr. Ongaro spoke about the biblical dispensation of our duty towards children. He also spoke about a key issue with regard to what is currently happening to us, and Athena has alluded to that, the different reasons children go missing. Out of the bodies that have been exhumed in Shakahola, so many are children who documented him, who are able to say, this is my child and this is not my child. Yeah, Athena has given us different reasons why people go missing, why children go missing, the push and pull factors. And so I'd like to welcome the following people up to the stage. Daystar University students, please give a round of applause to Bernard Maina as he comes up to the stage. Escort him. Next, I'll have Madam Caroline Olilo from the Directorate of Children's Services. Please invite her, give her a warm round of applause, encourage her as she takes the steps. And next, I don't know whether we should stand at attention. Tukauke kidogo. Madam Wilkis Tavera from the National Police Service. Please welcome her to the podium. Thank you, Madam. Madam Edwina Kwala from Kara Projects also. Please come up to the podium for a discussion. Madam Eunice Kilundo. Edwina Kwala and Eunice Kilundo are Daystar alumni, so extra round of applause for them. Madam Eunice Kilundo from Child Fund. Thank you. And welcome your very own Dr. Roslyn Olumbe from Daystar University. Thank you. And a chair for me. Fantastic. Thank you. As I come up to the stage, Madam Caroline Olilo, who's also in the Directorate of Children's Services, is an alumni of Daystar University as well. I'll use the static mic so that the rest can like me. Fantastic. Welcome once again, and thank you all for taking your time across your different busy schedules to come and share with us on this forum on the status of missing children in Kenya, an area that we are trying to work together to find a pathway forward. And so what I'd like to do is to have each one of you have the honor of introducing yourself and what you do, and then I'll pass the mic back to me, then we can go on with our different questions. I feel like when you introduce some people, sometimes you don't do them the full honor. So I'd like for everyone to introduce themselves. I'll start with myself once more. My name is Mariana Munyendo. I'm the founder of Missing Child Kenya. We do such trace and reunification for missing children. We run a toll-free helpline and work in conjunction with the Directorate of Children's Services, the police services, and other stakeholders also listed here as a member of the technical working group in terms of search, trace, and reunification for missing children. Passionate about the need for data in terms of finding numbers that will help us solve the problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Bernard Maina. I am a student at Daystar University. I am a finalist student in the School of Applied Human Science, and I'm very much happy today for this forum that will enhance us with knowledge, insight, and also allow us to learn and analyze the status at which our people in the society are missing and why they are missing, and how we can help in reunifying them back to the families and the integration process. So thank you so much, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon once again. My name is Caroline Olilo. I'm so happy to be here because this is home. I'm a Daystar alumni. 22 or 23 years ago, I was here as a student. This place gives me a lot of nostalgia. The amphitheater, it brings so many sweet memories, but because I don't have time, maybe we'll interact later. I'm glad to serve as a children officer from the Directorate of Children's Services. All the children of Kenya belong to us. Our main mandate is child protection, and with a vision of safeguarding the interest of children and their welfare. So it's my privilege to be here to take care of children of Kenya and to respond to missing children of Kenya. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all. My name is Wilkis Tavera Nyayo. It explains for itself that you can see from the outlook, but I have not come to arrest anybody today. But if you are a criminal, then I don't know the nature will take its course. Yeah, I'm here because of the work I do, that is security and the law enforcement. And I know that every Kenyan is aware of the security of the country, the security of our homes, the security of our institutions. Like even here, I know the university has its own internal security, apart from the police. Before the police comes in, Daystar University, the institution themselves have placed a first eye that takes care of everything. Care of property and life for everyone. In relation to today's topic, it's the role of the National Police on missing children, specifically missing children and young adults. Young adults because they are still under the care of their guardians, their children, the school, and any other institution that is supposed to take care of you until you are independent to go and live on your own life. Because most young adults, after 18, you claim you are adults. But I'm here to remind you that you are not yet an adult as long as you are under the care and the dependence of your parent or guardian. Thank you. I'm looking forward to interact more with you. Feel free to ask any question that is related to police and law enforcement so that we live here better people than we came in. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Edwina Jeruto Kwala, an alumni of Daystar 2. Very happy to be here and in the presence of wonderful lecturers that I had a good time with under their care. One good memory that I have with the amphitheater is one song that we used to sing, that I have my mind made up, that I want to see Jesus. I still have that mind made up that I want to see Jesus. I run an organization together with a team locally and internationally called Kara Projects. We work with women and girls and children in general. I have a passion for children, especially the ones in need of care and protection. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eunice Kilundo. I work for Child Fund Kenya. Child Fund is an international child support agency. Our core business is child protection, ensuring that all children have access to their rights and are enjoying them. Also an alumni of Daystar University, sitting in this amphitheater. You know, my mind goes back in the years. Class 2003, this amphitheater where we used to have our chapel. Every time when it was chapel day, it was very refreshing before we begin our classes. And so I'm happy to be there. I'm happy to be here. I'm going to be handling the topic of online related courses for missing children. So we'll engage. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Roslyn Olumbe is my name. I work and teach here at Daystar University. I'm the coordinator, Institute of Child Development, which is housed in Nairobi campus, but in the School of Human and Social Sciences. I've taught here for the last 18 years. It's been a privilege to work with students in different categories. I can see somebody saying, wow, yeah, 18. Really in different stages, and especially for the area of child development, where we help our students to understand issues to do with child therapy, how they can offer psychosocial support for students or for children, but also just in the how do we invest in children from very early years. And so missing children is a very interesting topic, I think, as we shall engage. Quite a privilege to have all of you and all the visitors. Karibuni Daystar tena. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As you can see, we have a diversity in terms of experience, expertise, and representation. And for us today, the structure of this panel is we're going to give each of the participants an opportunity to talk about a topic that they are representing. And after this, we will consolidate all their presentations, and then that is when we'll have an opportunity for a Q&A. And because of the interest of time, having started a little bit late, I would now direct it to them so that we have our presentations based on the different topics. I'm sure all of you have your program somewhere where it's listed in terms of who is speaking and what they're speaking about. So I'll start with Madam Caroline Olilo from the Directorate of Children's Services. Please tell us a little bit more about the role of the Directorate of Children's Services in preventing and responding to cases of missing children.
Like I introduced, can you hear me? Care and protection of all the Kenyan children, or all the children in Kenya, whether Kenyan or not. And so when a child is missing, what's our role? First of all, in preventing, to avoid children going missing, one of the main roles that we play is training, capacity building. We train parents as well as children to avoid my counterpart from international, my counterpart, the name, from International Center for Missing Children, mentioned the push and pull factors. To avoid these factors, we train parents on parental skills as well as children. And on children, we try to enhance child care system through child participation forums. Some of the forums for child participation is what we call Kenya Children Assembly. That is a platform that allows children to discuss on issues that affect them, and it's mainly for children. Somebody mentioned come up with solutions. So we give them that opportunity in schools. There are child rights clubs, so children are able to be taught on their rights, how to take care of themselves, how to avoid some of these things. And then there is somebody again who spoke about online child sexual exploitation and abuse. So we are able to train our children to be cautious on some of these things, like the solicitors. We have child online criminals who lure children into some of these crimes, then they end up missing. So we are able to create awareness and sensitize children to avoid such. And also not just children, but parents as well. So with parents, we are able to train them to monitor their children, to have parental controls. We are aware that nowadays we are dealing with different generations. I am an immigrant of digital generation. As you've heard, I was here 22 years ago. But I believe I'm dealing with millennials. Most of you are here, you are millennials. So what is so familiar, somebody is not accepting that. Maybe Generation Z. You are Generation Z? Yeah, so these are global-minded people. What they know, what is common to them is the gadget. So they get so many devices, like we have various platforms and gadgets. When you come to TV, we have like Netflix, we have YouTube, and various platforms, TikTok. So we train parents on knowing, be at par with your children and have those parental controls. Like for example, I'll give an example. I'm also a parent, by the way. I happen to be a parent of twins. My twins are now 14 years old. So like on Netflix, you have different, I'm able to monitor what they watch. So we have adults channels, and we have channels that are child-friendly or don't have contents that will not be appropriate for children. So we are able to open different channels, like on Netflix. So we have accounts for adults, mine and my husband, and we also have account for the girl. We also have a different account for the boy. But we are able to have control in the sense that whatever she watches is appropriate with her age. So some of those things we are able to train. As the department, when we have forums, we partner with stakeholders like the one who has come, and even the Mariana from Missing Child Kenya. So when you have capacity building, we are able to train people on how to prevent some of these things. Because nowadays, because children have access to these devices, they are easily lured into so many things. I remember we've had cases of children going to parties. What were they calling it? You can help me out there. The parties that high schoolers were attending. What were they calling it? The party after party forums, where people go to houses. How are they able to go to such? Some of those things they've reported children missing, girls missing, boys missing because of such opportunities. But how do they get to hear of those parties? It is through social media. So we are able to train parents on such, as well as the children. The other one is that we teach children not to talk to strangers, because many strangers are luring children. Nowadays, it's been on social media. It has been going viral, where you find that strangers are able to use different strategies to lure these children and even to trap them. For example, when you write children's name on their bags. So you find that there's a stranger somewhere who has been tracking this child. Then they go to school and say, so-and-so, I've been sent by your parent. The child will be like, okay, this person can identify me, so I will follow them. So those are some of the things that we teach children, and we partner with Ministry of Education to teach them on how to prevent people from luring them into child trafficking. And then the response of missing children. When cases are reported to us on a child that is missing, the department work in a way that we have sub-county offices, the field offices. So most of the times, their walk-in clients will come directly to you and report a child. A parent will come and say, my child is missing, or they will report to the police, and the police will liaise with us. The first thing when somebody reports that a child is missing is we take the cases, we have what is called case record sheet. And then we use the data that is called Child Protection Information Management System. It's an online way of recording cases of children. So once you've taken the case, immediate response. A missing child is an emergency. You don't take long. You report it immediately. So we go and report to the police. After reporting to the police, you also collect and gather other information, then you share it online. It can be on social media. Another way that, another opportunity that we use, strategy that we use as a government is we work with court. We have children's court. For example, in Nairobi, we have Milimani Children's Court. So we normally have opportunity to work with the media where we have a press day that is held quarterly. We used to have it. It's not active now, but we are in the process of revamping it. So what we do with the press, we send out information and partner with the press. They come to the court. They highlight cases of children who are missing, either on print media, on TV, on radio, and all that. So people are able to be alerted on children who are missing, and then they take action. The other thing that we do, the other step is that we ensure that this child that is missing, there are children who are missing but they have been found, are found lost. A child who was lost but has been found by you as a children officer. What we do is, the first step is to ensure that you place them in a place of safety, and that is we have charitable children's home, like various private children's home. We also have the government institutions called statutory children institutions, like we have Nairobi Children's Remand, where we place the child temporarily. Once you've taken the child to a place of safety, you start what is called reintegration process. In the reintegration process, you have to ensure that you are tracing, work even with the police to investigate, where did this child come from? If this is a child who was rescued maybe from child trafficking or child labor, and maybe they came all the way from Busia to Nairobi, you have to work with our counterparts from Busia sub-county to ensure that we are doing the home tracing so that the child can be safely reunited with the family. We also have what is called care reform, where we have alternative family care. Instead of just placing the child in an institution, there are children who are missing in the sense that their parents have abandoned them or deserted them, or somebody just decided to leave them somewhere. Those children need families, and somebody said that the best place for a child to be nurtured in is a family. So in the meantime, you can place some of these children in alternative family care. And when you are doing that, the care reform, you work together with the judiciary to ensure that the child is legally placed. Some of the forms of alternative family care include adoption, foster care, guardianship. Adoption is a long-term. Most children who are abandoned are placed in adoption with families. It's a process that is permanent. But temporarily, somebody who is not related to a child can be placed for foster care so that they have that family nurturing setting and they are able to go back to school and just feel the care of a family. And then there is also guardianship. We also ensure that maybe children who are lost because they've been neglected by other relatives, maybe they are orphans, such children, you can make arrangements for guardianship. Guardianship is a form of taking care of a child who is not your own but a relative. Maybe the parents have died. So that is another way of dealing with the missing children, and I can see my time is up. There is economic strengthening. We partner with stakeholders to ensure that, because the push and pull factors, some of the push and pull factors are poverty, like we saw. The place is not conducive because of poverty. Parents send their children to go somewhere to go and work.
many children have been brought to other places to become maids. Such children, when you want to reintegrate them back home, find out the causes. What were the underlying factors that made them to leave their places? Why are parents sending their children to go and work? The parents can be trained they can be trained and sensitized to start IGAs by being sponsored by other stakeholders that work together with the government. The very last.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a short time. We are the government, we are the ones who coordinate on ensuring that the missing child is safe, because we have various people who are working. If everybody was left to take care of the missing child, then there'll be a lot of confusion. So whatever partners are doing there, they have to do it through the department. So we are the main coordinators. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll move on to the next government arm. So Madam Wilkista Vera, you're going to talk to us about the role of the National Police Service in preventing and responding to cases of missing children and young adults. In the interest of time, I'd like to request our panelists you keep it within time that we can be able to have everybody submit, and most of the other engagements maybe will come up in the Q&A. Madam Wilkista, welcome.
Thank you, Marian. I think in our country, everybody, whether a child or an adult, knows the police, because even at home, live alone currently, those times, I've worked for like 34 years. We used to be threatened at home, you eat or I call the police for you. So, unaona mtoto anakula mbio mbio, polisi asiitwe. So the police are known because of the work they do. It is because of to help the Kenyans, or even the foreigners who live in Kenya, they follow Kenyan law. There is nowhere in the world you can live without law. So this is what makes many people nervous when they see the police. Oh, have I broken the law somewhere? Yeah? We are there as police, the core mandate being protection of life and property. Life and property, if you think along that line, the life of a child is key in this topic. So we also, as police, assist members of the public, not only arresting them and harassing them, but we do assist members of the public. In most cases, especially in town, you would see somebody new in town approaching a police officer to ask for direction. You cannot just approach anybody to ask for direction. So another main core mandate is about enforcing the law and the regulations that are put in our constitution. Alongside about the missing child, we collect intelligence. Collecting intelligence is about collecting information from all members of the public and the stakeholders. You collect intelligence as you patrol around, and for the information that is brought at your desk or at your place of work. So I urge all members of the public or all the participants around here, wherever you are staying in the community, in the institution, anywhere where you see, not only a missing child or lost child or a person, it's good that you are keen when you see anything that is unusual happening around you. You could see a child in a certain home, and that child is being molested. We have seen many videos going around where a house girl or a house helper, we call them managers, or even a guardian or a parent really molesting a child. You shouldn't keep it to yourself. You should move fast and report to the police or any local administration or any children's office around you. The police do a lot through a strategy of community policing and the Nyumba Kumi that were brought into law back in 2004, 2005, and 2013 about being a neighborhood watch, a brother's keeper. Yeah? Know your neighbor, know what he's doing and what she's doing. If I have a strange kid in my home and you have never seen me with a kid, you have never seen me pregnant, an infant is crying in my house, what do you think? What comes into your mind? You live in the same block or flat, you have seen these things happen, but you don't report to police or to the children's until when you see the police coming to arrest that woman or that man is when you start querying yourself. So this man or this woman is a child trafficker. So this child was not his or hers. So it is upon all of us to be alert and assist the police with the information so that we can keep our environment and our children safe. I don't want to go to the divinations because you have already heard it from the first speakers. When a child is considered or is declared missing, we have heard about it. What I want us to understand is, what does the officer do or to verify that that child is missing? At all this time, an officer must ascertain, yeah? An officer must verify that the child is missing sometimes when a child has left. In developed countries, we have where they leave messages in answering machines. But here in Kenya, we are blind. I think there is nowhere when a child can go to a neighborhood and leave some information that I'm in the neighborhood or I've gone to my friend's house. Yeah? To explain the whereabouts. So what you do, you interview the parents or the guardians or any other person who is around. That is when you will ascertain or verify that that child is missing. And who are the perpetrators? I always tell my audience about being a victim and being a perpetrator. In one way, if you have never been a victim, you have been a perpetrator in your own life. When you see a thing and you don't report, you are a perpetrator. Yeah. Out of ignorance, you have ignored to report. You have information that would help the law enforcement agencies to act, but you have said, if I'm known that I'm the one who has reported, what will become of me? I want to encourage all of us that we come out of that cocoon and we make sure. We have so many means these days of reporting without even being seen or known physically. So the perpetrators here are parents themselves. Yeah, when you neglect your child and she goes to the street, is that parent not a victim, a perpetrator? Yeah, we have guardians. We have abductors who abduct children because they don't want to do any harm to the child, but they want to threaten the parent to get some finances or some money. Yeah? We have child traffickers who want to sell that child for money. Yeah? We have terrorists. Terrorists just want to create fear in the environment or fear to that parent. And finally, you would find that they will go and abandon that child somewhere if they did not succeed to achieve what they wanted. And our list is long. So, next, because I want to move fast, is about the lines that we may use, the hotlines that we may use or that are used in Kenya to make a report to police, to the children's services, and any other organizations that are partners in this case. We have one that is 0800-223-344. Those are the one of the hotlines. We also have 999. The usual long police line, hotline, it is free of charge, but it's mostly used by perpetrators. They call and abuse the police and they talk a lot of shit. But if you call it and you are giving a genuine information, it is a toll-free. Another toll-free line about children is 116. Just dial 116 even when you are seated here. It will be received somewhere and someone will. Even if you said I was just testing to see if it's working, it will be answered. Another line is 1195. This one is used by the hack, those who deal with the STBV issues. And we have already been told that STBV issues or GBV, that is gender-based violence, are some of the push and pull causes that send the children or young adults away from home. We also have a helpline at missingchild.co.ke and missingchild.co.ke. Time.
I know this would have taken a whole day if we had time, but yes.
Yeah.
We can complete.
So the Children's Act 2021. Who is in charge, or what is the charge of child neglect in Kenya? This is the offense where a child under Section 127 of the Children Act carries a penalty that do not exceed 200,000 Kenya shillings fine or 5 years imprisonment or both. So don't think that neglecting a child is just a minor, or it is we call it a petty offense. It is not a petty offense, it is a criminal offense. Yeah? What are the important details that reporting of a child, missing a child? You really need to know when, where, when, and the physical appearance of the child. What the physique, yeah? What was she or he wearing at the time of disappearance? What is the color of the skin, the color of the eye, the hair, yeah? And even some of the peculiarities. One could be having red eyes, black eyes. One could be having large lips, or one could be having brown hair, yeah? Some mark on the face or on the body, which can be referred, even if you found that child is unconscious, you could be able to describe that child. We have been told about mental or children with autism who cannot even tell the name of the mother or the father. So the physical discrimination, description of a child could be very crucial and very important when you are making a report on of a missing child. How do I report? We have already said how we report. You report to the police, to the nearest children's office, to the local administrative, to the church where the child goes to the church. Yeah? Then the information spreads over and over. Maybe for statistics, we could like to know how many children goes missing in Kenya in a year, because that is where we are here. The number is so alarming, so large, but this is the number that is already reported. If you have not gotten a report of a child, you may not record it. So we have about 6,000 from our online statistics, yeah? We have about 6,374 children that go missing every year. How long does a person is declared missing? In Kenya, it's after 7 years. That file may be closed and it may be declared missing person from the society. This is a multi-sectoral approach that everyone carries a responsibility in our country. Don't say you are not a parent, so you don't care whether a child is getting lost or what. It is our responsibility to bring our children back home and keep them safe or keep them protected. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Let's appreciate Madam Wilkester. I will move on now next to Edwina from Kara Projects, and please share with us about some life skills and strategies for parents or caregivers and children and young adults to prevent incidences of children and young adults from going missing. Remember, if you're online, you can submit your question and the moderators will be able to share with the panel, and then you can be able to get your response.
Sorry about that. Thank you. My name is Edwina, and I'd like to share two stories. One is of a child who was a minor below 2 years, who found themselves in a field and was taken to the children's office by an imam, and that child the case was pushed, and later the family was reunited with their child, and it was discovered that it was a house help who was being mean, and they just wanted to punish the child and the family. That is a success story. That is a good case. Then there is another one that really torments me. Both of them I'm involved. The second one is of two children, two siblings, one 3 months, I think older than 3 months, and the brother 1 year and 6 months. These children were abandoned in a lodging in Kitengela. The person who abandoned them there had their bag with a clinic card that had details for one of the children. These children were brought, let me say brought, not taken, were brought into a shelter that I was administrating. So I had the power to do something more. So this is a confession, but there's nothing that I did. That was in 2010. So I recorded the case, and the nature of some of the shelters is that you work very hard to make sure that there's food, the children are going to school, but the case management is not done well. And so this case remained that way until this year. That center was closed. That was 2010, so it's over 10 years. That center was closed, and those boys were taken to another shelter. It is sad because that shelter did not access the clinic cards, that clinic card that had information. So I just want to have your minds thinking of how horrible I was in handling that case and what should have been done, because there was a police letter that was used to place the child in that center, and that's how the children's office placed into that center where I was at. And so if that case would have been handled immediately, that police officer would have been sought, and the information in the clinic card would have guided to explain why the mother or whoever had abandoned that child in the lodging. Who knows? Maybe it was a similar case. Anna and others normally scratch their heads. 2 years and below, what will you ask that child? Do they know their parents? Do they know where they live? They can't even explain anything. It is sad because when we have been planning these meetings and IMCD activities, I have been going to that center, but have not been able to face those children. Because how do you even start looking for them? What do you tell them? I can't put any hopes in them because I do not have anything to offer. So this is a clarion call for all of us. Let's do whatever can be done, even if it's just one small step, because that sleeping on the case maybe made information that was very valuable not to help. And there's somebody somewhere who cannot trace their roots and might never be able to trace their roots in this life. We'll continue working hard. Please pray about this case, because at times it's beyond whatever can be done because there's no documentation. So I talked to the CCIs because I'm in that department. I said that we come from Kara Project. So Kara Project has many programs, one of which we run a shelter that is called Kara Girls Rescue Center. Now here I have pinched my ear. We do all documentation and do everything and do the reviewing after every 6 months. So I'm talking to anybody who might be managing a CCI, because I know there are people who are following us online, to just do the due diligence. When the children come in, the tracing needs to be done immediately. The information that is there for children needs to be kept safe. The exit needs to be planned, because no child is supposed to be in a CCI forever. And I think that is in agreement with what the Directorate of Children's Services is pushing for, to have the children out of the centers, because in these centers, that is where there are so many children who have their roots distorted. They do not know where to go back to, because maybe we've not done what we're supposed to do. So because of time, there's a lot that we can share together, but I'm believing we are getting this information so that we do whatever it is that we can do. And I request if the hotlines can be projected and maybe just remain on the screen, so that we know, even if it's just the number that we need to dial, the place that we need to call. I'm getting a shake of the head, so I think it's not possible to do that. I don't know whether we can be able to project the...
We can work on that in the background as we continue.
Yes, as we continue, so that we all have those numbers, so that in your own small way, you can be able to just share information. If maybe you come across a child in the matatu and there's something weird going on, like there was a bus that I went into, and there was a parent that was actually giving their less than 5-year-old child to just a common passenger and asking them, when you get to the end of the stage, there'll be somebody waiting. How do you know that is not a cartel that is trafficking children? But again, what do you do? What is there to be done? So this is a conversation that I think we need to continue with, but as a responsible adult, a responsible student, somebody who has been informed, let us now take action on helping these children who are missing, so that as the flower that we are using, we will say, forget me not. That child is asking not to be forgotten, because they matter. Their lives are valuable. So just adding on to that because of time, for the parents, for the children, for the young adults, in children matters, maybe children are going out or they're going to school, they're of an age of understanding, they should know their parents' names, they should know their telephone numbers, they should know where they live. I know some of us are in early childhood development, so you'd been engaging 5-year-olds and below. I think it would be important for these children to know all this information so that they are independent. They don't tell somebody, maybe you ask them, mama anaitwa nani? Anaitwa mami. Na dad, baba yako, anakwambia aje? Anaitwa daddy. At that point, hiyo haitasaidia. Unasema hiyo ni mzuri, lakini haisaidii. But at least when they tell you something about the identification, you can be able to help them. There is somebody I was engaging, and they told me when they go to busy places, they normally write their phone number on their children's skin. For us, if we are darker, I think we'll write the name hapa kwa palm. Lakini kama anaweza kuonekana huko nyuma, you can write it there. It's crazy, but it would help, because you never know, you might get into a place and that child cannot be traced. Of course, it's important to be independent, and there are so many things we can talk about independence. I wanted to just talk about two things. One is independence, and the second one is accountability. Accountability for the children and accountability even for us young adults. I remember I said that I was also a Daystarian. Getting transport out of this place to Nairobi was not always easy. So at times you'd hike a lift, sindio? And at times you're so desperate until you don't care whose car you're getting into. God help us. Yes, so it's good to be accountable, because when you tell your friend where you are, at least tell your people where you're at, it would help to know very quickly when you're missing. God forbid, you won't ever miss. But it would be good that people know where to get you, and at least there's somebody who knows where you're at. So I won't take any more of your time. I'll still insist, let's take those numbers and let's follow those instructions that we have been given. We are responsible in collecting all the information. When you hear somebody is missing, make sure not to create a panic, but collect all the information that you need in terms of name, everything, their numbers, where they come from, all that information that we have had and will continue sharing. And then put that together and make sure you report where necessary and where you're supposed to report in the right platforms. So thank you for listening. We'll continue engaging.
Thank you, Edwina. Next, I'll move on to Madam Eunice Kilundo from Child Fund. Please tell us something about online safety and the missing child or missing young adult.
So good afternoon, everyone. In the interest of time, I'm just going to be very brief so that the next speaker is going to get some few minutes to present. But in a nutshell, I'm just here to highlight the risks online, the importance of protecting children online. As we all know, the internet has taken over. Everything is going digital. I'm looking around and remembering when I was in Daystar, the place was full of people. Students were all over. And I'm looking and I'm only seeing a few people passing. And really, the reason basically is because there are other options for learning apart from physical attendance of classes. So this has happened everywhere. COVID has not made things better. Physical interaction has reduced and keeps reducing. Even going to work, nowadays many organizations do not make it mandatory for people to go to the office. We are working very effectively, even more effectively from home. And so what I'm trying to say is that the internet is taking over, and there are so many good things about the internet, we'll all agree. Internet has made life easy for all of us in many aspects, but at the same time, much as we have so many benefits as a result of the online options that we have for engaging, we also have criminals that turning digital, isn't it? So very soon you will not be chased by a MAGA or physically be harmed by a criminal, but you will all agree with me that crime now has taken a faceless form where a lot of money can be stolen from you without not anyone ever touching you, isn't it? We all agree that. And so I'm just here to say that criminals at the same time are also invading our children's spaces because of the fact that especially the gadgets that we are using nowadays, as we all know, the gadgets and the internet does not know who is online. One day we were in a workshop where we invited children to talk about the harms online, and some of the children talked about their experiences over the COVID period, and they said, nilikuwa namuitisha mam simu nifanye homework, alafu vitu zinajileta. vitu zinajileta. So the phone doesn't know who is holding it. And at the same time, enticement online for children, perpetrators of online sexual exploitation and abuse of children, take advantage of the innocence of children, take advantage of the ignorance of the parents, not understanding what is happening online to entice children online. Issues on grooming, issues on sextortion, asking children to take pictures of their private parts or even of their nudity, asking, enticing, grooming children online. All that is happening within the internet space. And these people are taking advantage of the fact that, number one, parents are not, ignorance of the parents not knowing what is happening online. You will hear a parent proudly say that hii simu yangu, mi natumia kufanya nini? I only use my phone for taking calls and writing messages, and whatever else I want to do on my phone, my child is the one who shows me. And parents really talk like almost proudly that my child is very good with this gadget, and I am not. The risk lies right there, because very soon your parenting role is going to be taken over by the internet. If a child wants to know about relationships, anafanya nini? Google. So you, as a parent, you will become very relevant in the life of your child if you do not know what is happening online. And all children of all ages are accessing this gadget. And so one thing that I want to underscore is for the importance of parents to understand, to remain relevant in terms of their parenting role. Go with the times. Now that it's digital age, you need to understand what your child is doing online. Be at the forefront, be ahead of the child. There before, we as parents knew more. Nowadays, we are letting our children know more than us. And so I want to underscore just the importance of parental care. I want to underscore the importance of being present in the life of your child, especially when they are operating the gadgets. There are so many ways that parents can put restrictions on what the children can do, how long they can spend with their gadgets, what they are doing online, putting measures that could prevent their children from engaging online. So I had a lot to say, but in the interest of time, I just want to underscore that fact about online sexual exploitation and abuse. Perpetrators are not sleeping. Every day they are devising new ways of engaging with children, and they entice children. They become friends with children. They talk about interests that they think, they make the children feel like they have common interests, so they actually use very enticing language to make children engage with them online. And so it is important for us to, even as academia, to really engage on how children can be protected online, engage with the tech companies, so that these children are protected within the cyberspace. So in the interest of time, I was just here to underscore the importance of protecting children online, and the aspect of knowing, helping parents understand what is happening online so that they are able to remain relevant in their parenting role as regards children. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will now move to Bernard Maina, and I'd like you to give us a perspective as a young adult and a student on the issue of missing children or young adults. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to start with two stories. One that happened here at Daystar. Last year we lost a student who went missing by the name Charles Agesa. He was a third-year student. And he was pursuing computer science. One evening, he moved from his hostels, settled down here, and he was going to off campus. and that was the last time he was seen. So this is not something new to us. It's something that we have hold of. We know how it feels to lose someone who was once your friend, whom you have interacted together with, and it's a painful and a sad situation. So as the university, I have heard and I have learned from our experts here, the university was able to respond and they were able to act in regard to that situation. And the media came, the story was published, the police unit came and they were able to follow up with us with our story. And unfortunately, the last, they could trace his last contact in Kibwezi. So that is something that happened, and he was transported to a far distance for reasons that we do not know why. So how did that affect us as students? It created a lot of fear, of course, a lot of anxiety amongst ourselves, because you don't know if you're going to move out and you will be the next one who will be carried away, because you don't know why he was carried away. And therefore, it's a sad situation, and these things are happening, not only to children, but even to us who are young adults. The other one is, the story that I want to give is, as young people, why most of the times we are going missing is because we are laying on ourselves a lot of pressure. We want things to happen to us very quick, and for example, we want to get rich very quick. And Madam, the one who has spoken, the one from Child Fund, she has talked about online space and how it is affecting us as young people. So we want to get rich very quick, and so we want to interact with anyone that we meet on the way. So even on our online spaces, we want to befriend everyone without taking caution of who really they are. And so they come giving us promises and making awards to us that they are going to do this and this, and other schemes that are plotted. Maybe it's a business platform, you want to invest on that platform, so you end up borrowing money from your friends, asking them to give you resources. And so at the end of the day, you waste a lot of resources, and you eventually become depressed. The reason I'm giving this story is because one of the friends 3 weeks ago, he went missing, but he was later found. And the reason why he had hidden himself is because he didn't want to be seen anywhere by people, because he had a lot of debts. And so the schemes that we are engaging ourselves in, they can eventually make us disappear, not to be seen and to be found again. Again, on the issue of online safety, online predators are there, and they are looking for even our young girls. There is an increased rate of sexual working, and so they want to hunt them so that they can recruit them into those businesses of sex work. So it's an unfortunate thing that we need to take with a lot of cautions, because the students who we are here, we are not kids. We know our biodata. So when we are asked where you come from, that is something you can express yourself quickly and you can easily tell. But now there are other schemes that have come up. Like someone will come and intrude into your space and they promise you money, and because you are feeling like, I really want this, you end up going missing, and we will not be able to trace you and find you another time. And other platforms like online dating apps, they are spaces where we can get lost easily, because you don't know that the other person and what their intentions are. And so it's something that is quite unfortunate. Another thing that I would like to mention, now that we have government officials here, and one who comes from the Directorate of Children's Services, she talked of them having the information management system. I would like to urge them to improve on that, because I think there has not been enough sensitization on how the system is being used, on how the data is being uploaded there, who can feed the information on those on that system, and therefore it's something that needs to be a lot of sensitization needs to be done on that area, because even us as students, some of us, we have skills, we have knowledge, and we can assist the ministry maybe to help to collect data, because one of the things that we are talking here is that we do not have enough data because people are missing every day. But how can we help to improve that information management system so that we can have true and real-time data on those platforms? And I had been asked to talk on the causes of children missing, and I will not do that because a lot has been said, and actually everything that I wanted to say has been said. But I will say the last thing is that we need to improve the psychosocial support. And this goes to the ministry, the children's department. In 2019, I was privileged to be attached in a sub-county children's department, children's office in Kikuyu. And many of the cases that were being reported there, they were cases of neglect. Children are being neglected by their parents. And so in a situation where a child feels neglected, they are not wanted by their parents. Actually, parents are coming to fight in the office. They are saying, you are the one who should go with this child. You are the one who should take care of this child. So children in that kind of quarrel, they might in return get affected. And so there is need for the children's department to increase the level of psychosocial support. We cannot survive in a situation whereby we have only one counselor in a sub-county, for example. We cannot rely on children's office to be the main call center whereby children will get psychosocial support. We need to make sure, like in every primary school, there is a counselor, a department of counseling where children are taken care of and their mental needs are well addressed. Because we talked of runaway cases. Children are running away from their homes. Why are they running away from their homes? It's because some of them, they are depressed. They are traumatized by some of the things that are happening in those spaces. And therefore they feel like I just need to go out and find myself a safe space. So there is need to make sure that a lot of psychosocial support is being given to our children, and not to actually silence them every time they want to come and speak. Because many, they also learn because they feel like, in my home, I do not have that safe space where I can express myself and my parents are able to listen to me. And so they go out. I would rather go and become a street child. And so that is what I would really like to emphasize and to bring on board. And otherwise, I'm so much happy to have participated on this forum. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bernard. Thank you, Bernard. I will now conclude with Dr. Roslyn Olumbe. And please tell us about academia and prevention and response to missing children issues.
Thank you very much. Maybe 3 quick incidences, and then I'll just mention about the academia and what they can do in that. In 2008, one of my children went missing, but that was for about 3 hours, but 3 hours were long enough because it's just about 2 years. He just crawled across the fence playing outside, and we couldn't find him for over 3 hours. The next incident, right at my home, and one of my brothers had a niece visiting from Uganda, and she had been home like for about 3 weeks. He left with her to go to the shops as he went to work, bought some items, gave her to take home. She never reached home, and she was lost for over 6 months. We found her after 6 months in an old woman's home in a different county. Last incident, a colleague of mine here at Daystar, and I'll not disclose her, and when she was little, they'd gone visiting with her parents' home, and just at the market, how she slipped out of her parents' hand. And she was lost for 1 year, and she says she lived with a stranger for 1 year. They took her to school, they closed her, so later she was found and united with her parents. That means missing children is real, and it's not strange. What can the academia do in some of these cases, and how can we respond to that? One of the things that I did when I was asked to share today was to go online and look for papers that have been written about missing children. You can do a Google search. And I hardly found any, apart from the documentation from Missing Child Kenya by Mariana and the team, and then the DCS. And then I went to Google Scholar and looked for missing children in Kenya, and there was no article about that. And then I went and looked for gender information about missing children, and I found some data about China, America, and UK, and there was hardly anything about Kenya. But at least I was glad to find now in the general Google a paper by our own Mugure and the former director Sanganyi, Marole, and Mohigi, 2018, and a document they published or they worked on, and their paper was about social determinants of vulnerability of missing children. But I think one of the items they found there which was of interest to me was the causes, and I think it has been mentioned here, determinants of missing children. And two main things they flagged out was child abuse, which accounted for 23%, and running away, which accounted for 40%. And I kept asking myself, why running away? But from our discussion this morning, or rather this afternoon, we can identify why children run away: abuse and other poverty, and maybe just getting to look for a safe place out there. What can the academia do in this space so that we can be more knowledgeable about the cases of missing children? And one, I think, is to actually incorporate topics in the courses we have. So I think about Daystar, and one of the courses we teach children rights and advocacy, that information would be incorporated. But what about the other departments? I think there's a lot that we can incorporate in that, so that we sensitize our young people, our children, and even our parents. For my case, it was just a child playing in the car park and then gone. And it could have been gone forever if it was a stealing case, just to mean that even an innocent parent would be with the child and the child gets lost. Sensitization can be done. And I think we are doing one of it right here at Daystar in this forum. But we can now organize for more intentional public lectures on the causes and how we can respond to cases of missing children. Secondly, we could think of partnering with organizations that are already doing this, and this is what we are doing at Daystar, Department of Children's Services, and other organizations that are right here, that are at the community level and are working with parents or communities just to sensitize that information. How do we protect our children, and how do we ensure they are safe? I think that sensitization and partnering with organizations that safeguard children is very important, so that we can be able to understand and protect children. I look at, I think the first thing I began with was talking about publishing, and I went online and I couldn't find the publication. So I want to tie two things that actually we can carry out research. I think what we are sharing here, a number of it is our experiences, not what has been researched apart from Mugure and Sanganyi paper, not what has been published about missing children, the effects, the consequences, and what can be done. But we can research, and so my child development students who are online, I saw some of you joining, here are topics on missing children, the response mechanisms, and what can we find out there, and then we go ahead and publish so that we can be able to have the children safeguarded in many ways. And I think lastly, I would like to say that when we think about the issue of missing children, is actually to again think about our policies. What we have in our own either government policies, our school policies. When we talk about our own student missing, what led to that? What about the ones who miss in primary school? What are the policies we have about keeping children safe and ensuring they are okay? Eunice talked about online. What policies do we have, and really the limitations that can be placed online to safeguard our own children, sites they can access or not access? How can we empower the children? And lastly, could we do capacity building for children in the community forums, and so that they can know how to tell and how to identify, and if they are lost, I think that has been mentioned here, what should they do so that they can be safeguarded. Because of time, I'll stop at that, and thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you very much. That has been quite a wide range of experience and expertise and knowledge sharing. So please, let's just appreciate them once more. And in quick summary, because we started a long time ago and now we are on the last person, so that we can tickle our brain back to the Q&A session that is coming up next. I think Bernard has just spoken about the importance of psychosocial support and given us the issue of Charles Agesa here who went missing. Madam Caroline Olilo has spoken about the mandate of the Directorate of the Children's Services. She has affirmed they are here to serve us in the interest of the children, and they continue to create community awareness on child protection issues. Madam Wilkista Vera has spoken of the role of the National Police, but has also equally challenged us. Report. How can community participate in collaborative policing or law enforcement activities? How do we report and where do we report? And most importantly, why don't we report? Edwina has spoken about accountability. I picked that as a very important life skills. Where am I supposed to be? And who am I in the space that I am at? Accountability is also information sharing that keeps us safe. Madam Eunice Kilundo from Child Fund has spoken about crime being faceless and children being accessible to criminals online, and has called for parental involvement in terms of child protection when it comes to the online space. Dr. Olumbe has spoken about policy, the importance of looking at adding topics or public lectures in instances of academia participation, publication, so that it's not just said, it is written and documented somewhere. Then we can be able to look at that. So thank you very much. As I delve into the next session for Q&A, I would like us to be mindful of one thing that keeps us in time here at Daystar, the bus's schedule, so that we can be able to not to miss on the bus for those who are also journeying back into Nairobi. But just in summary of that, I'd also just like to highlight a few things about why we are here. Number one, I said when I started, the International Missing Children's Day is coming up on the 25th of May, and this is why we are doing what we are doing. The other thing is some of the activities that we are looking at. There is an art competition for small children, or children under 18. We said 18. If you are 18 and above, you can still draw, enjoy, submit, but we will give the prizes to the ones who are 18 and below. If you go to the Department of Children's Services Facebook page, you'll be able to get details about that art competition. Children are submitting their artwork in relation to the International Missing Children's Day. Another thing that also is being done as part of activities towards the International Missing Children's Day is we are highlighting long-term missing and lost and found cases. These are cases between 2 to 5 years of children that have been missing or lost and found within the system. We are highlighting them on the different pages of the partners. Key pages to look out for are the Facebook page of the Department of Children's Services of Kenya, and also the Missing Child Kenya Facebook page. You'll be able to find those cases, and sharing is what gets information out there, and people can be able to find out and reunite these children with their families. Another thing to look out for, more information about everything missing child and missing children matters has been curated under the hashtag MissingChildKE. It's an important hashtag to keep. You can search for information, even images of missing children. And last but not least, the numbers that we need to remember are 116, the National Helpline for Children, 999, the police helpline, and the Missing Child Kenya helpline is 0800 22 33 44. So those are lines that we need to keep remembering, like Madam Edwina has said. And as I delve into welcoming Q&A, I'll just also remember Dr. Ongaro started with biblical scripture, and I just remembered, do you know that Jesus went missing at the age of 12? The Passover. They'd gone with the parents. When they are coming back on the donkeys, they've reached somewhere near Syokimau, and they turn. Mary is asking Joseph, where is Jesus? Joseph is saying, I thought you had the child. Then they head back, And what was Jesus' response? Don't you know I'm in my Father's house? And if you're talking about psychosocial support and mental well-being, what would have an African parent have responded? So those are just some of the considerations to look at in terms of it can happen to anyone. It happened to Jesus. So once again, thank you. Please appreciate this panel. And I'll go into the Q&A. If you have any question or comment, please raise your hand. And we try to also keep it limited for time, depending on our bus departure schedule. Thank you. Mics are within. So if you have a question or comment, you can be able to make your input. Another thing, Child Fund has some material, not quite a lot. A lot of it can be found online. I just like the gentleman in the green shirt to lift up his hand. You can see him in the blue tent after this for some material on online child sexual exploitation. Thank you. There is a hand up there.
Thank you very much for the presentations. From Caroline, I wish to know, you spoke about the process of institutionalizing these children. I would like to understand from where I sit, how much has been done, to facilitate that process. These are people who are in those institutions because their status is unknown to their legal guardians and parents. So how much groundwork has been done to ensure that when you want to close down or take these children outside these institutions, you are taking them to places where their life is not going to be, they're going to have an easy time or a good time, if I may say so. And then secondly, maybe you, Caroline, or Madam Wilkista can answer. The space for data looks like it is largely an NGO-driven, but how much has the government invested in really collecting this data and ensuring we have, like the gentleman said, real-time data on children who are missing? Because all the time, for example, at the end of the year, police would give us statistics of crime. Yeah, it means they're able to collect these statistics and have them. How much of this is done by the police? Like, how reflective and accurate are the figures you are telling us? Because one will get to report their case maybe to Kara, one will report their case to Mariana, or report to police, one will go to children's services. So where do all these cases meet, and how reflective is the data you gave, for example, of the 6,000 people or children who you say are missing every year? Thank you.
We can take that second one and then they can respond and we can take the next batch.
Thank you. Mine is not a question as such, but just an observation or a contribution on how probably the issue of the missing child can be addressed beyond probably the office level and up to the community setting. I am thinking of probably the possibility of empowering this parent, the possibility of empowering community members, and the possibilities of empowering me as a citizen. I may not be a parent, I may not belong to that community where this child comes from, but I'm a citizen of this country, and there are children who may be going missing. We tend to have a passive role, especially as citizens. Unaangalia mtoto who is missing and it is like, it is none of your business. You are so busy with your business. And you don't even bother of what is happening to this child who probably desperately needs your support, your help. And that is where I'm coming from, that beyond just probably having good policies and maybe having organizations dealing with the issues of the missing child, is the community trained or empowered to be responsive? Because as this child trails the road, getting lost, he or she is meeting with many people, especially those who are not missing through the online things. I'm imagining like a child of 2 years getting lost from a car park. By the time he gets to where he's gone, he has met many responsible adults. Kenyans, what is our take? Can we be able to be more responsive, not of only my child, but the child of Kenya? I think that is important, because many times it is like, it is none of my business. The other thing which I want to think about as I look at this, what happens when this child has been found? Many times we celebrate, and probably mommy and daddy draws a party to celebrate a child found. But deep inside, I'm looking at a child, a parent who is traumatized. And possibly the trauma can be long-lasting. We could be seated here and some of us got lost 60 years ago. And here you are talking of a missing child, and deep inside me, 60 years down the line, there is like a little girl who got lost, and nobody took time to talk about this missing child. So I've carried the burden over the years. It stands on my way for education, it stands on my way for healthy relationships, and etc. How do we go beyond that reunion which I'm seeing there, and that banner, so that we can, at the end of the day, get this child reunited, yes, to their parents if possible, but beyond there, be given a platform of healing, reconciling with himself or herself, and the same thing be done to the parents. I am thinking of a big animal. I don't know who talked about it. I can't remember. Poverty. And I think maybe those of us who come from the Department of Development Studies, that is where this rubber meets the road. There'll be many more children getting lost for different reasons, because some of them are running away from home, sababu hakuna chakula. Some of them are running away because of GBV, because mommy and daddy are fighting because of conflict arising out of poverty in that home. So beyond the actual symptoms of running away we see, deep inside at the core, I believe there is the problem of poverty. As a people, as we plan of these other beautiful things, how do we also package poverty eradication or empowerment of these people so that they can be able to put food on the table, and when there is food on the table, the child will feel secure. Parents will be at peace a little bit, as opposed to when there are chronic conflicts because of the lack. Mtoto amefukuzwa shule, and we are looking at each other. Who is supposed to pay school fees? And in front of the child runs away, feeling dejected by both parents. Not because they desire to do so, but because of poverty. Thank you.
Thank you. A quick one. My daughter got lost just for 7 hours, and it was like 7 years. That is a dear daughter to me. Why? It was my mistake that these workers we bring home, and we give them work. You don't know them what they are doing within the homestead. Never again should I have a worker at home without knowledge and their history. That one taught me a very, very really big lesson, number one. Number two, where do the children come from? Children are born. What is the government doing? And therefore, I wish that all the members of the panel who are here, can we find out where do they get lost more? Is it between or among the Muslims or Christians? There is a reason behind that. Children come out of the relationships. They don't drop from heaven. Therefore, can we find out these particular children who are lost or who goes missing? It is as a result, as a country, we don't have serious rules and regulations. We are living like animals in the forest. people having sex around and babies are born. At the end of the day, they become the victims. There was a discussion around whereby the government, is it in Kenya or where, whereby if you have lived or cohabited with a girl or a boy for 6 months, you are being perceived to have been married. What were your sana? So can we have a constitutional change amendment where when you give birth to a child, hakuna cha kuepa. Ukikata kona, mimi nakata kona. Lazima uchunge mtoto. Can we strengthen the rules and regulations so that it's being, if it's about the amendment of the Constitution, so that people should be able to get that responsibility. You will think twice before you engage in any relationship.
Okay, just a minute to say something about missing children. Just to say that there are a number of psychological factors which are involved in the missing children. It's traumatizing to the parents when children get lost. And we have to know that there is actually an ambiguous loss because the parents are not sure whether this child is going to be found, whether to be found dead or alive. There is the issue of post-traumatic stress disorder, which can be on the part of the missing child. The child is a victim, or even the parents. Then there is the issue of guilt and shame. Sometimes parents are like, do we have a role in this? What do we do? And at the same time, it's possible that the parents or the caregivers may actually contract anxiety and depressive disorders. At the same time, we have social and interpersonal impacts of these missing children, especially on the parents or the caregivers. There is actually the social exclusion, because like people see you as being irresponsible. Where were you when your child went missing and all that? There's also the survivor's guilt that comes about. So what are we saying? In academia, we want to say that there are interventions. There are psychological interventions for these parents, their caregivers, and the society, so that people may get healing. Even to their victims, where Dr. Muta says, yeah, maybe you were lost 60 years ago. It's very true. I was lost one time. And even now, I feel like I suffer from the consequences of that loss. So we need to go for psychological support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I'll have the questions that were asked responded to first, and then we can pick the second batch. And in the interest of time, for the second batch, we'll probably only take minimum 2 questions so that we can allow the teams that are heading back to Nairobi to organize themselves internally and externally. Thank you.
So if I got your question, you're asking 2 questions. The institutionalization by the government, at the same time, reintegration of a child back home. Is that what you're asking? So for the deinstitutionalization, we have a new act, the Children Act 2022. And in the act, whatever is there, implementation is progressive. On the issue of care reform and deinstitutionalization, I believe it will take like 10 years. So the government is not going to close those children's home in one day, because we have to follow all those procedures. You will not take a child. There is what is called now, answering that together with the second question, how to ensure a child is taken back to a safe place. So there is when you rescue a child and take them to a children's home, there is the exit strategy. You have to plan for the child. How will this child go home? Where is this child coming from? So it includes the tracing. It also includes environment is harsh. So the child is not having a good relationship at home. Of course, you'll ensure that there is counseling both on the other side, the community, the family. The parents must undergo counseling, and the child has to go through counseling and ensure that there is reconciliation reconcile the child with the caregiver, so that by the time they are going home, there's a good, amicable relationship and there's bonding. They don't just go back to a stranger. Again, like somebody mentioned, you've been away from home for so many years. The community may find you like a stranger. We also prepare for that process through the psychosocial support, and then the IGA, economic strengthening, teaching parents on how to generate income, and not just leaving them there, helping them to have startup fund so that at least they're able to become independent, so that the children don't run away. That is to try and also fight the poverty issue that was raised by Dr. I'm used to Mora, Mogute. She was my lecturer and I was used to Mora, so Dr. Mogute. So there are many processes. I don't know if you are satisfied with that, and then I'll touch on the next one on data, online data. Yeah, and I'll answer both you and Bernard at the same time. Yes, the department has, like I mentioned, Child CPIMS, those are the abbreviations, Child Protection Information Management System. But it is at our discretion. It cannot be used by it's not open to the public, but you're welcome. Like you were saying, innovation is very important, especially for young people. So I believe that's a take home. We will be open to any improvement by the young people, and we'll be also able to be keen. But we take every data, every case of a child that is reported to any office, children office, must be keyed online on that CPIMS. So we take data even for missing children and other cases. Thank you. I think I've responded. Yes. The figure she gave was for children. It wasn't by the police. It's by the department, Directorate of Children's Services.
So I can add something to your question, the figures or the data is incorporated, or how it is collected and put together from the cases reported from different institutions, either from the children's services, the police, the chiefs, that is local administration. Any child who's gone missing in Kenya and has guardian or parents, it must be reported and recorded somewhere. And if it is reported and recorded somewhere, if it's reported at the local authorities, that the assistant chiefs, the DOs, and wherever, they finally end at the police. And if it ends at the police, as I said from the beginning, police do not work alone. They work with partners, that is hospital, and first-hand inform the children's service officer at the nearest sub-county. That is where the data comes from. The police do not make their own figures. It is the figures that is keyed in the occurrence book, and it is shared by the children's service. And even if a child is collected and taken to hospital, finally it must reach the police and it must be handed over to the children's service. Because if I want to emphasize and say that the figure the children's service have is the correct figure of any missing or lost and found child in Kenya. If a child is missing and has not been reported, then we don't capture it at all. We don't know that child is lost. That's why we are encouraging people that let us have information and share it. When we share, it will be more important. The children could be more than 6,000, but because there is no sharing of information, then the many numbers are left out. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to add on to that, the issue of the actual numbers of missing children is not a problem unique to Kenya only. It's a problem that is prevalent in a lot of developing countries. And it's because we are having underreporting, no reporting at all, late reporting. And so that is why if we have concerted efforts, if every stakeholder that has data on missing children is able to bring it together, then the numbers can start making more sense, and we can start looking at the hotspots and quick interventions, and even our education and community awareness campaigns will make sense, and above all, we'll be able to respond quickly. You know, the first 48 hours being very important, and even an immediate response being very important. Thank you. So we'll take 2 more questions. There was a question here, and there's a question at the back. Okay, so I'm seeing 3. For the interest of time, we'll take at the back, Madam, and here. Just those 3. You can start from the back so that you move faster, but anyway.
Thank you for the insights on the topic. I think it would be important for me to mention that Marianne and I went to high school together. We were literally in the same class, in the same stream, and we finished school together. So I'm very proud of her. I'm patting myself on the back. Now to my question. You know, you mentioned something about putting, like labeling the child. I would be concerned, what if the child is kidnapped for ransom? Now they have all your details, you know? Wouldn't it? I don't know, I feel like it would be a security issue. Like if I see a group of children and I see one who I can get the contacts of their parents easier, wouldn't that be an easier one to kidnap? And if there's any kidnapper here, don't do it. Leave it alone. That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. We can move to the center and finish here.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we have learned a lot. I am just asking a brief summary on the steps to take in case you find a missing child. And then the other question is about the myth that the reason why many people are fearing to rescue children is that it's like once I find a child and I bring to the police, by the time they are locating the child, I'm going to be responsible for that child. There is that kind of stories there. So maybe you can clarify for us.
Thank you. The final question.
Okay, thank you. I had 2 concerns, and the first one has been answered. It was about the figures you mentioned, and I was going to ask if there is a database to monitor all the figures you may come in to your, since the police station is the first station who reports the missing children. So kama kungekuwa na database ingekuwa a bit itakuwa rahisi to monitor the figures in come in. And another issue is like it may affect most parents when watoto wao wamepotea is how can we deal with the crooks who uses public information to cheat or try to extort from parents or guardians or try to take advantage of desperate parents?
Thank you. So Edwina, you'll answer that question. Will Kista and Caroline, you'll answer the second question. And for the final question, anyone who's up for data protection, I will answer a little bit and I can be supported.
Thank you for that. We are living in a wicked world, but we cannot always be negative. The most difficult lot when it comes matters missing children are children living with disability or with special needs and the toddlers. So we are trying to be innovative on what to do. So if your phone number landed with a crook, it is safer than your child landing with a crook. Because if they were to trace you, then there's the DCI and other places Because if somebody contacted you and you're in a season of looking for your child, you'd be able to submit such contacts. So there's no clear answer to that, but it's clear and pure innovation of how to take care of children, especially the ones who are young.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm trying to answer Madam's question on how or why many people fear taking care or taking up a lost and found or missing child. I think, like she has said, that's a myth, something of the past. It was there. I think when I was young in the police service, early 90s. Yeah, you could come to the station with a baby and you are told you'll take care of him or her until we trace the parent. But I want to say that this is quite different these days because we have so many CCI, what do you call them?
CCIs?
Yes, CCIs, where we place those children who have been lost and found. First of all, you bring the child to the police station. You must give the details how you collected that child, how the child came to your position. But many people don't even want to give their contacts and the place where you found the child. It's good we know so that we can know whether it's the parent from around who placed that child there or it's another kidnapper who came and placed that child there. So what we request is being cooperative and collaborative with the police. You give the details of yourself and the child and the place, the time where you found that child. Then what we do, the police, we record in our occurrence book. If you want, you can be given that reference number for future reference. Because when you go out, you may find people looking for that child. What you tell them? You give them that OB number and tell them I took the child to a certain police station or assistant chief's office. Then what we do in the first place, we take this child to the hospital. As we inform the children's service, take that child to hospital for assessment. Maybe at the hospital she can be diagnosed, she's suffering or he's suffering from a certain disease, or she or he is hungry, yeah? She is starving, she has not eaten, he has not eaten for some time. Then from there, the hospital and the police will now agree in which CCI to place the child. That record is kept there and we keep on following until maybe we trace the relatives or the guardians or the parents of the child. If the parents are not traced, the CCI continues to keep the child. Yeah? The second point, is there any database for any reported cases? I think this year she has repeated the question. The data, the police keep all criminal cases. Even the missing children case reported is a criminal case. Because if it's a parent found to have abandoned this child, he will be or she will be prosecuted for neglect or for abandoning a child or for any other reason. If it is a kidnapper, he will be charged. That is the last point for whoever asked on how to deal with people taking advantage of parents or online, yeah, to extort money. If these people are traced because they are using mobile numbers, we work in conjunction and in cooperation with Safaricom and even Airtel. We have cybercrime these days in the DCI. They assist in tracing these perpetrators. Then if they are caught, they are charged with kidnapping or abduction. Thank you.
Thank you. I think in the interest of time, that could have been answered. Let us consider the few questions that have been placed online. How much time do we have? 20 minutes? Okay. Doctor? Let us work with strictly 15. Dr. Lumba, if you can get the mic so that... I need to check the questions first. Okay. So maybe I can respond to the third one about parents being vulnerable. Their information is put out, because when your child goes missing, you put out that number and someone is able to call. What we are trying to do collectively within the technical working group is to also look at the best interests of the child in terms of data protection in their situation of vulnerabilities. There are some details that when collected are important for the public, but also pose a risk to the child that is involved. So what we are trying to do is to discourage parents. Yes, they will share with the relevant authorities their phone numbers, but it is easier and safer for the public to contact with information from designated numbers, the toll-free lines that we have spoken about, so that if there's any information, someone can call the 0800 116 999. That way, there is no case of someone calling a parent because it's very urgent and they tell you, I am in Kitengela with your child, we need 20,000 for an ambulance. What would you do as a parent? Quickly give that money, then think later. So we are also trying to look at education for data protection so that our families and even the case management system continues to work in data protection interests that are in the best interests of a child. Dr. Olumbe?
Okay, thank you. I had two questions, but thankfully you answered one of it concerning the messages thing. You find a message in your phone, someone saying, hi mom, please send me, I'm in this hospital. That one has been answered. My second question is not actually a question, but a point of concern to the law enforcement. You can find sometimes children are kidnapped, taken to other countries and being used as law offenders, like criminals. Not only small criminals, but high-end criminals like Al-Shabaab, Al-Qaeda in other countries. Then later on, you find them they have been killed, or even something bad has happened to them. So what is the government or what is the law enforcement doing in tracing such kind of situations?
Okay, I'll read from the online, from Sheila Cheroitich. A question to Madam Wilkista. We don't have very much confidence in the police department here in Kenya because, of course, of the history. The police have been known to be of very little help when required by the civilians, constantly asking for kitu kidogo before they can assist taking their time. Before assisting, is it different when it comes to missing children? Is there a specific department within the police that deals with missing children reports? The other question, I think, goes to Eunice, and it's about the online, and the question is from Winnie Wayaki. On online issues, children are clever in hiding dangerous programs. Are there known apps to fish out what they hide from analog parents? And then I think the other one, yes. My concern, that is from Lucy Njuguna, and she says, my concern goes to the NPS, maybe it could be NCS, I don't know, NPS, yeah, at the point of arresting women, yeah, the police, in conflict with the law. I wish the police could document particulars of the children of that particular woman they have arrested. We have children in CCIs but are separated from their parents because of this disconnect. So if we could respond to the three, the online and then the arresting and the kitu kidogo. Thank you.
Okay, one big challenge with protecting children online is this one single thing called end-to-end. Yes, because, you know, whatever is happening online because of end-to-end encryption, there is that, you know, like the user has that right so that whatever they are doing online is not going to be seen by others. But of course, there are measures that have been taken by Interpol, for example. Like we have had, the DCI has the Online Child Protection Unit, and they are able to, you know, when cases are reported to them, they are able to follow up the criminals. So I would make that comment and also pass it to Mariana and maybe Athena to contribute more to that question.
Okay. When it comes to the online spaces and the data and the accessibility, I think one of the things that I'll keep really looking at is if we don't feed data into the system will not help us. If we don't feed reports of different instances of children, whether missing or in other situations, we will not be able to have comparative data with international systems, even like Interpol. Because if you're looking for a Kenyan child and we have not also fed enough information in the international systems, there will be no comparative analysis to be able to bring out similar images or similar features. So it's just a call to most of us who are practicing in different forums. Any crucial data about a child is very important, no matter how minute, because once entered into any system, if that child ever in future, God forbid, comes across any vulnerability, then that data might be used to trace them because it has been placed in areas that have their best interests. So I think that is my call around it, that if we have any data that is concerning vulnerability of children, it's important to have it within systems that are there that can be able to collect data, which includes CPIMS, other systems within the police, different organizations and actors, so that we can be able to say, if at all this child goes missing today, we can be able to find them. Even 10 years from now, we can be able to track and create a line of sight back home.
I'd like to respond to his question on the issue of radicalization. The children who are suffering, they are taken to another country, child trafficking for the purpose of what is called violence extremism. The government, the other time I didn't have time, but I'd wanted to mention that we are able to establish laws and policies. So like 3 weeks ago, the government, the Directorate of Children's Services, launched a guideline called Children in Violence Extremism. They include children who are in armed conflict. They're taken to other countries like Somali, they become Al-Shabaab and all that. Those who are radicalized. So we're in the process of combating such violation against children. So it is in place, and I believe with time, there will be dissemination. It is underway. Yes.
Okay, we can conclude with Madam Wilkester to be brief, and then we can have the closing remarks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the questions, both asked here physically and online. What I want to add to my friend, what she has said about it, he asked about young adults being taken to other countries and maybe being recruited to Al-Shabaab. This is something like Bernard said, that you see something online, then you are prompted or you are tempted to click on it, and you see how exciting and interesting it is. You know they are promised so many goodies. This is something that can only be done by parents, and that's where we are always insisting on community policing and Nyumba Kumi. Present parents, I don't want to talk about absentee parents. Present parents who are present know where your child is. And we have been told many things here about even watching the child learning or watching anything online. The child does not have a phone. It is a mother or a father who has a phone. All this, I said from the beginning, we are the perpetrators in one way or the other. We allow our children to be lured and to be recruited in these very funny cults on our own negligence and ignorance. So the government has put systems in place to help us as parents to take care of the children. The laws are there. Not that there are no laws. Children's laws are there, and many others that we cannot mention right now. Is there any specific department dealing with missing children that has been led by Madam Daktari Olumbe? Yes, there is the DCI section, and we don't leave it to the DCI alone. In every police station, there is a gender desk. where every case concerning GBV, it is called agenda desk because of issues surrounding violence at home. So this also involves the reporting of missing children or lost and found child. So we don't leave it wholly on the DCI, because DCIs are not stationed in every police station. They are stationed sometimes at the sub-county level. So every police station or base is responsible of receiving reports on child protection. Arresting of women, Dr. Yolumbe, you have said she has asked about taking details of the woman who is bringing in children, the minor. Yes, not only women who bring in lost and found children or missing children, even men. There is another, there were clips going around a police officer who rescued a baby who had been abandoned. So if this person brings, you must take, it is the responsibility of a police officer or a children's service officer to take the details of any person bringing in a child for further action. And the systems are very clear. Even the psychosocial services, they are also involved because they must counsel the relative or even that person who recovered that child. About kitu kidogo, that is something I am not going to discuss about here. It is like a black sheep in a herd. Every institution has a black sheep. It doesn't mean, it's long time that people stopped thinking about police on kitu kidogo. These things died long time ago. It's like in any institution you will find the issue of corruption. Not every police officer is corrupt. And actually right now, every officer handling gender desk issues is trained, and has to do the right thing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Once more, help me appreciate this forum. We can be able to say it has been an intense afternoon, and there's so much to learn, but we'll continue learning. Please help me appreciate them once more. And as we progress, I'd like to call up Dr. Jared Menecha, who's the head of Department Psychology and Counseling, to be able to give some closing remarks. And as we do that, I'd still just like the panel to remain here for a quick photo option with, together with the faculty of Daystar University. So the panel will still remain seated as Dr. Menecha gives some remarks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I would like to take this chance to thank everyone that has participated today. And I think we need to clap for ourselves. Let's clap for ourselves for participating in this very important forum. Just to start with, I would like to express our sincere thanks to the Directorate of Children's Services, led by Madam Caroline Olilo. Second, I would like also to thank Missing Child Kenya, which is led here by Miriana Munyendo. Child Fund Kenya, Eunice Kilundo, for coming and for the discussions that we have had. Total News, also African Network for the Prevention and Protection Against Child Abuse and Neglect, led by Sophie Omutanyi. And also I would like to express our sincere thanks to International Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which was led here by Avena Morgan, Kara Projects by Edwina Kuala. Then we had the National Police Service, which was represented here by Wilkester Vera. You have heard what the police have done. Actually, they have done very good work in this particular mission. Then Daystar University, we would like to thank our Vice Chancellor, the staff at Daystar, the faculty, and all the students actually for being here for us and also supporting this particular meeting. And also I would like to specifically also thank our Daystar production team for actually being here and also making sure that this was a success. Otherwise, to all of us, even those people who helped us in trying to arrange this room, we want to thank them. May God bless you as we go. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we'll have a closing prayer. And Dr. Manesha, since you're still holding that microphone, we'd like you, the Spirit to lead us in prayer. Thank you.
Okay. Let us believe and pray. Loving Father, we come before your presence. We thank you because of the blessings. We want to thank you because of this meeting. Father, we have discussed very important issues that affect our children. We pray that, Father, you continue blessing each one of us. Bless all stakeholders that are involved in this. And Father, even as we help to trace our missing children, that, Father, all may be a success. We want to pray for good health. And want to pray, Father, that your grace may actually abound. Even those children that went missing, you want to pray that, Father, that you bring them home. As we disperse from here, we pray for special blessings all the way. In Jesus' name we do pray and believe. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Be blessed in your everyday endeavors. For those online and also for those here, the link to the whole event is available on YouTube. You can be able to share for your continued reference. Once more, thank you. There could be one or two media houses that are here that would like to give an interview, so please also be cognizant of that. As you're free to leave, I'd like to request the panel to get together for a photo, plus the faculty, lecturers, and the department heads within Daystar. Once again, thank you and be blessed. Asanteni.
Three of my core family members and I have graduated from Daystar University. The personalized attention given to students, commitment to value-based education, and fast absorption into the job market makes the choice of Daystar University a worthwhile investment. My family is Daystar, yours too can become.
Visit www.daystar.ac.ke to apply for May intake. Daystar University. Excellence, transformation, and servant leadership.